In college football tomorrow, big one between Georgia and LSU. The Bulldogs coming in number 2 in the country in the polls. LSU at number 13. This one's the 3:30 kick Eastern time on CBS, 2:30 Central. It's the big-time game on CBS tomorrow. And for Georgia, they're a 7-point favorite in this game on the road. The Bulldogs are totally legit. I don't think they have a lot of flaws. As always, they have a ferocious defense. Kirby Smart has the team playing together. They're getting good quarterbacking. They're getting good offensive production. And I think that's the one big thing. You know that their defense is fast and athletic. Offensively, though, they're averaging 40 points a game. Now, they haven't played great teams yet, and now they've got a stretch where they play LSU on the road, and then in 2 weeks, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville against Florida. Then they're on the road against Kentucky and home against Auburn. That is 4 straight games against ranked foes. I'm heading down to Athens for my first trip between the hedges for that game against Auburn coming up in a month. For Georgia, tomorrow is actually not a must-win if they are trying to get to a college football playoff, which, of course, they are. But then they can't afford another loss. So over these next 4 weeks, LSU, Florida, Kentucky, Auburn, they finish up with UMass and Georgia Tech. They'll wax both those teams. They can lose one of these games. And then they have to beat Alabama in an SEC championship game. That's the problem. See, they can lose tomorrow as long as they beat Florida and Kentucky, meaning they get to an SEC title game. They got to win the SEC East. They can lose tomorrow, but have to beat the Gators and have to beat the Wildcats to make sure they're in Atlanta for the SEC title game. But then you've got to beat Alabama. You see, if you go undefeated 12-0, you win tomorrow. If you go 12-0 and lose to Bama in Atlanta, I think you're going to the college football playoff. But you can't go with 2 losses, losing this one or one of the other conference games and the SEC championship game. So essentially, they've got 1 L they can take and still make a playoff. If it's tomorrow at LSU, that means you've got to be perfect the rest of the way. That's a tall task. I'm also interested to see if LSU is real deal. Because at times they've looked it, they've pulled a rabbit out of the hat. At times I've wondered, especially last week against Florida, this is a really good moment for Coach Orgeron, Joe Burrow, and the rest of that team. If we are to take them seriously as a contender in the SEC West and in that game against Alabama, then they've got to show up and they've got to fight. In a lot of ways, they got to win tomorrow. It's a great matchup. I'm really looking forward to it.